Hey everybody, it's Pastor Aaron with That Church, and we are starting a new book of the Bible today, the book of Matthew. And so, as I enjoy doing, I am going to read you the introduction. It's out of the Passion Translation introduction, and just wanted to give an overview of the book of Matthew so that as we get into it, we know what we're reading and what we're talking about. So, about Matthew. 4 centuries of silence. So I got to thinking about that when I read this yesterday. Century, that's 100 years, so right? Yeah, 400 years of silence from when the Old Testament was done, when the prophetic kind of had stopped. Where was the promised Messiah that had been prophesied of? The Jewish people were waiting for the word of the prophets to come true, for they had prophesied that he would come. Then suddenly the angel Gabriel made an appearance to a teenage girl to announce his birth. Shepherds saw a bright, brilliant angelic light show on the hillside. Wise men went out in search of him. The light of the star shone over his manger. Insecure Herod wanted to kill him. Satan cruelly tested him. The prophet John presented him to Israel. God anointed him with the power of the Holy Spirit. Then one day the king came into the synagogue and announced, "I'm here. I've come to set you free and to wash away sins and liberate those who love and follow me." We can thank God for Matthew, for in his gospel he presents our eternal king. Matthew means gift of Yahweh, and he lives up to his name. Thank you, Matthew, for the gift of your life and what you have left for us in your gospel. Purpose. Matthew is a natural bridge between the Old Testament and the New because it has the most Jewish character. From the first verse to the last, Matthew establishes Jesus as a direct descendant of King David, preserving and fulfilling his royal line as the rightful heir, as well as a descendant of Abraham, the father of Israel. Furthermore, Matthew portrays Jesus as the new and greater Moses, who not only upholds the Jewish Torah, but intensifies it, not in a legalistic way, but in a spiritual way, because following his teachings is the way into his heavenly kingdom realm. It would be a mistake, however, to say there is only one purpose for this book. While one primary purpose is to communicate the Jesus story to the Jewish people, Matthew also means to communicate Jesus' story to us. One particular aspect of the Jesus story that Matthew wants to share is that Jesus is king of a heavenly kingdom realm, one we can be in. Mark and Luke also speak of God's kingdom realm, but Matthew focuses on how people behave as citizens of that realm, with Jesus as their loving king. Author and audience. It is believed that Matthew may have been the first apostle to write a gospel, and he possibly wrote it in Hebrew, Aramaic. Though some maintain that Matthew wrote his gospel after the destruction of the temple in AD 70, it's possible he wrote it anywhere from AD 55 to the mid-60s. He was a wealthy tax collector who profited greatly from his duty of representing Rome. And then one day, the man from Galilee stood in front of him and said, "Come, follow me." And he says that to us too. There continues to be debate over the original language of Matthew's account. In AD 170, Eusebius quoted Irenaeus as saying, "Matthew published his gospel among the Hebrews in their own language, while Peter and Paul in Rome were preaching and founding the church." This, along with numerous other quotations from church fathers, would mean that the original manuscript of Matthew's gospel was written in Hebrew. Regardless, it is without dispute that Matthew was a Jewish man who presents a Jewish king who now sits on the throne of glory for all people. That's right, for you too. Perhaps an unbiased look at the Hebrew and Aramaic manuscripts would yield further nuances of our Jewish heritage as believers in Jesus and would strengthen our understanding of the inspired scriptures. You will find ample footnotes throughout this translation to assist you in your study. That's if we were, so as we go through Matthew, And every book of the Bible that we do every day, we do it in the Amplified, but we do also study it in the Passion. So as there are footnotes in here that will enhance our study, we'll be bringing it out every day. There's a few major themes in Matthew. Gospel telling, of course, the preaching of the good news. It is the good news, but it's the preaching of the good news. There's a lot of quotes from the Old Testament. There are parables. There's talk of the heavenly kingdom realm and kingdom realm living, how we want to live our life in this kingdom realm. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a little bit with chapter 1 of Matthew, and it's really good. It goes through the genealogies, and it tells us, wow, how many people were involved in the story, in this actual real life account of how Jesus came about and where he came from. And it's going to be really good. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a little bit with Matthew chapter 1. Bye-bye.